And begin an intro and all that?
Nah.
No.
Hey guys, sorry
All
about
right.
that. We had no audio, so we're back up.
Yeah.
Mafio's gonna go ahead and talk about him again. And then,
Allow me to reintroduce myself.
My name is
All
Hey.
right. So again, guys, this is a podcast about us. As each individuals, we're just going to talk a little bit about ourselves. Who we are, where we come from, what we do, and then give you a little bit of insight about the podcast mission statement, what it stands for, things of that nature. So again, I grew up on the west side of Chicago, man, with a mother, a dictator of a mother that was big on discipline, but wouldn't change that for the world. Um, my mom had a mantra uh, in regards to her parenting for me, and her mantra was, "I refuse to let you grow up to be like your dad, his brothers, any of my brothers, or any of these unsuccessful men in this community." That we live in on the west side of Chicago. And so, you know, she was a stickler to it, and I was always mindful of that. And so I would always wonder, like, what is it about my uncles or my dad, that my mom didn't want me to grow up to be like. So with my mom being a very strict disciplinarian, I was I feel I was bred to be a thinker, and so always trying to figure out and assess things, trying not to get that whooping. Is how it originated. But then, I acquired the skill of learning from other people's experience, and that's when I realized what my mom's mantra stood for. Just her desire to keep me away from drugs and the streets and
Absolutely.
alcoholism, a father that had multiple kids by multiple women that probably wasn't there in their kids' life. And so that mantra really really shaped my life. My mom was big on instilling responsibility and accountability in me, and independence for that matter, at a very young age. I mean, I was taking two buses on the west side of Chicago at 6 o'clock in the morning at 6 years old, because when we moved to a certain area, I had to take these buses to get to my grandma's house to get to school and things of that nature. So, I also, the skill of learning from others' experience, like, looking at those uncles who were drug addicts and, going to jail and things. Those were my anti-drug or my anti-jail or my anti quote unquote deadbeat dad or what have you. And I kind of hesitate to say deadbeat for those experiences, because these were men that really really wanted to be good fathers, but just didn't have the skill of parenting or what have you. So that was kind of like my early childhood experience, and how that shaped my life, and who I came to be from that. And so just to kind of fast forward a little bit, you know my college experience, I had a football scholarship, to Mankato State University, now the University of Minnesota, where I studied social and behavioral sciences, the study of the mind, personality, and how all that stuff is formed.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and it was amazing because I felt that growing up in the ghetto, I I I had that school of hard knock kind of education, and then to go and get a formal collegiate education. For my experience, it was a beautiful marriage, because it broadened my understanding and my horizon to the
Absolutely.
world.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, coming from a community or an environment that had all blacks, to go to another community that was all white. I had called my mom, like, a couple weeks from being in college, and like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this. You know what I'm saying? And
You
my
wanted
mom,
them bologna sandwiches and wasn't getting them no
man,
more.
I was culture shocked. In essence, I was culture shocked. And I was afraid of one person my whole life, growing up around all those animals, and
Yeah.
on the west side, and that was my mom, man. So
Uh-huh.
she simply said, if I see you in Chicago, I'm gonna kill you myself. So of course
Absolutely.
that thought of leaving college was
well,
definitely
you're
out the
still
way.
here, so we assume that you
Yeah,
stayed in college
of
now.
course, of
Right.
course. And so what my college experience did for me after I was able to open my mind and kind of, be accepting to this, I realized that these whites, a lot of these white people treated me with more love and concern and treated me like family than I received in the ghetto that I grew up in. And that was like so eye-opening because I had these prejudices or these perspectives of what whites were, and it was totally inconsistent with
Yeah.
what they were or who they were. And it was just beautiful to like, gain that type of experience. And
Right.
so um as an adult, going through life as a self-proclaimed social behavioral sciences professional, in the marrying of the two worlds from childhood to college life, um, I grew to learn to accept people for who they are, humility, empathy. Like, I mean, you guys can attest to it how, like, I can go anywhere, anywhere in the world. My wife will tell you, man, I get friends all over the world because I have a what you want to call a
Open personality is what I call you.
okay, and I
Would you say
accept that.
open?
Yeah,
Open personality.
Open.
open.
Yeah.
But I
It's a
have
good
this
thing.
I have this equation when it comes to relating to individuals or human beings, and that equation is the common denominator for every person on the face of the earth is we're human beings. I don't care what race, color, creed, part of the world you come from. And so I've adopted and instituted into my life and personality that I treat everyone like a human being wherever I go. And with that, I think that's the reason how I'm able to go anywhere in the world and be able to connect to anyone, even if we don't speak the same language, we're not from the same culture background. And you know that's kind of what I stand for and who I am. And anyone that's listening that know me, I'm sure you can kind of attest to that as well. You know, um, Now here where I am at my adult life and my personal life, I have a business. I've become Mafio the Reminder, Remind Thought Innovator. I'm a life coach, mediator, um, mindfulness coach, and that's some things that I would love to elaborate further on. I know we're kind of pressed for time right now. We'll get back to it, but that's my contribution to humanity. And then I just like to end with what's really the pillar of Mafio and who I am and how I become who I the essence of myself today is, for 40 some years of my life, I was taught God, church, the Bible, things of that nature. And about 5 years ago, I was introduced to reading the scriptures and to studying to show myself worthy. And upon doing that, a lot of the things I was reading from the Bible for myself was totally dicting to what the world taught me. Um, Jesus died on Good Friday and rose Easter Sunday, and if you think about it, that's not 3 days. Uh,
If math is right,
yeah,
right?
and the Bible tells you that Jesus said to the disciples that he died midweek, things like that. Another example is I would go to funerals and I would hear, preachers say, that's not such and such in that box. They're up in heaven, and the scriptures tell me no one has ascended but the one that has descended, So I had to call mom and grandma, like, man, a lot of this stuff I was taught, y'all was teaching me. Yeah, I might want to go check this verse out, check this verse out. And, with that being said, man, I have built my life on following the scriptures of the King James Bible. I didn't know that God had his holidays in the Bible. They're called feast days. I didn't know that there was a dietary law that God said what we can eat and can't eat. And I've adjusted my diet and things of that nature. So, man, that's the essence of Mafia and who I am today, man.
Oh man, that's pretty deep, ain't it?
It is pretty deep.
That's a whole lot deeper than my story.
And you say
I,
deep,
I
man.
argue with that, but everybody has a
whole
deep
lot
story
deeper.
in their
That's
own
a whole lot
way.
deeper than mine.
Yeah.
When he said you descend before you ascend, right? Is that what you said?
Well, I would go to funerals and people would say, that's not your grandma, your granddad, and
Right,
they're in
right.
heaven. But the scripture says no one has ascended, but the one that has descended.
Okay, let me
But
tell
you
you
know,
where
most
my
of-
mind went when you said
Yeah,
ascended.
you go to hell and then you come.
Right, that's what I thought, but
You
my
just go
mind.
sit down there and
Right, so I was like, so my first thing was like, so you go to hell first and then you go up? Maybe we already on hell. We don't know that.
Well,
But this is where this is let you know how my mind is wired up. When you said ascended, I seen Luke Skywalker go. I
Hey.
tried to hold my laugh. I said, I know they think I ain't nothing about me serious at all. I immediately thought about some Jedi's when you said that ascended. I said, yeah, he's reached ascended status. Look.
And of course, you have to know Vaughn, man. I mean, look, man, he got Lando on the show.
He got Lando.
Lando in the building. Big up to Lando.
Yeah.
All right, Mr.
All right.
Vaughn.
Yeah, I think my life is when you say he has an open personality, I think that's my mind. I think that's how I am when you say open. I don't really like to put walls around me per se.
You are a wall.
I am a wall, which makes it my experience a little bit different from Mafio's.
Okay.
Mafio walking up on people is a little bit less intimidating than me. So people are a little bit less I guess you say accepting of me walking up on them versus you. They're gonna be scared of me.
Man, to each his own. You
Yeah.
beautiful, baby.
Yeah, but I'm telling
don't
you,
know
yeah.
But if they don't know him like we know
Yeah,
him,
I'm telling you my experience though. That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
no doubt. I get
And I think because when you grow up like that, it makes you a little bit apprehensive when you go on to talk to people because you don't know how people going to accept you.
Yeah.
Because they look at your size and my color combination of size and color growing up, scaring a lot of people,
Okay.
even people that look like me. So it's like, well, you know what? Maybe I just ought to just be quiet. So, I think that kind of it did. I think that kind of forced me to be quiet a lot, man, because I never really felt like I fit in anywhere
Okay.
because nobody looked like me.
Wow.
With the exception of my brother.
Yeah.
And you know what? He helped me understand. I never understood why he was so angry all the time, when we was growing up. Because people would ask him and approach him and make little stupid comments like little people do. Like, hey, how's the air up there? Stupid shit like that. Hey, Tiny, you get tired of that shit. It was like, oh, what do you play? It was like, I don't want to hear that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it makes you angry at people. Like, what the fuck do you want to know for? It makes you apprehensive to people. I'm serious.
and they always think they're the first person. Who's
Yeah,
ever said it.
that's like, don't you? And sometimes they be it's like they're waiting in line to come ask you questions. It's like, didn't you hear this person standing next to you ask the exact same question? The exact same question. And it made me want to go make a shirt that said, "Hey, I'm 6'8". Quit fucking asking me that."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, you don't walk up and ask midgets that. Do you walk up and ask a midget how tall he is?
Flo
you do
asks,
that?
what do you eat?
Yeah.
What do you eat?
Yeah, what do you eat? See, he knows what I'm talking about.
He's your size.
Yeah, it's just dumb shit, and it pisses you off. It really does. You have to work on that.
But he has a fun one of the greatest stories, and I'll make it very quick.
Yeah.
We were at the House of Blues one night, and this older lady walked up to him and goes, "You must play football." And this son of a bitch gave an entire story about how he couldn't play football because he hurt himself in high school. I was literally spitting up water because she was buying it hooked. She's like, "Oh, that's so horrible.
That
Oh
question.
my goodness."
How much you weighed when you was born? I bet you was a bigot.
All right, let's get back to Vaughn and his.
No, but I'm saying,
who is Vaughn?
but I'm saying though,
And
you
I
gotta
get it,
think
though.
that's a part of me as a child. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? As a child, I watched my, because the first really big person I seen tall person was my brother.
Okay.
And he was totally divisive when people walked up to him. He did not like that. He didn't like you asking questions about him, and I was wondering why. And until I got that size.
Right.
I was like, there's a lot of nosy people around. It's like, what the fuck are you do? What makes you walk up to somebody and ask me that? You know what I mean? You like, you don't know me. How you know that's not offensive to me when you say tiny or what's the air up there? How you know that's not offensive to me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You automatically don't care. So now you start to feel like a circus animal.
Okay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you're a circus animal now. It's not a good feeling. You immediately had this chip on your shoulder. So there's an old saying, if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. So what I did, I walked around. I didn't say anything to anybody. I was just quiet.
But you were born here in Dallas.
Born here in Dallas.
Mom and dad.
Mom and dad from the country.
And we're kind of
I'm
going
just
through this because we had this. So
Yeah.
your mom was a nurse.
Yeah, my mom's a nurse
But
in
she was the first one to leave
Mississippi.
Mississippi and
Mississippi.
came here to DFW.
She came here to the DFW area and she met my dad, who's also from the country. He's from East Texas.
Where at in East Texas, just out of curiosity?
Moore Station. It's a little town in East Texas, and the best way I can put it is in between. I think Tyler and Athens.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tyler and that.
yeah. So I could say that. Yeah. So it's
Okay.
You
Through
try,
Fairview and all that.
I guess.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong.
I don't-
Most of,
Yeah.
I haven't been back in a while, but you know, you got to think most of those trips when I was a kid, and when you're a kid, you sleep in them rides. Or they seem exceptionally long,
No doubt.
even though it's like a 2 hour, 2.5
Right,
hour ride. It felt like it was forever.
So you had said this when we didn't have any audio, but
Yeah.
you weren't really tall or big until
Nah,
so in junior high you were kind of.
yeah, I was.
But your brother was obviously
Brother,
he had
I
growth
was
spurt.
he was always tall. Since he's 10 years older than me, so he was already tall. But
Did
yeah,
you hope to be that tall when you were?
man, I don't know. I'm not sure if I hope
Look
to
up
be.
to him and
I'm not sure if I hope to be anything. I don't know. I'm not sure. I know one thing. I didn't want to get in trouble. You know, my mom made sure, you know, we was appreciative of her because she was a single mom working.
Okay.
My dad was in and out because he was in and out of prison. But, you know, I did see that he had a job. He had his own trucks. He did his thing. All my uncles worked. So I did know I was going to be doing something labor intensive. It felt that way.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So aspirations of playing sports wasn't there at all. I think I just kind of fell into that. You know, we always played around the hood and stuff like that, but I think once I hit that growth spurt, that little 5-inch growth spurt, it was just like, yeah, well, you too big to be walking around here. Those comments came. Now,
Yeah.
the comments and how people talk to you change once you hit 6'3", 6'4", 6'5".
Okay.
Y'all wouldn't know that. So I'm just
Nah, I
telling
don't
you,
know
the
about that.
the conversations change. They
Right.
do. It's like you're too big to be doing this and that. And you know, now you're just trying to find your way and fit in now. Because like I said, you always feel like you didn't fit in. And so yeah, you know, so football was a great route for me. I ended up going out there and I earned myself a scholarship. Just kind of
Alcorn State.
to Alcorn State, just to kind of skip past some stuff because there's a lot of stuff in between
No
there.
doubt.
But
No doubt.
yeah, I ended up going there, man, and I think that's when my competitive drive kind of started. You know, it was one of those things where I said to myself, if I'm going to be out here, I'm going to try to be the very, very best at my position,
Okay.
and whatever else that goes with that. And you know, I was good enough to make it to the next level. So
Undrafted.
undrafted out of small school that was all black. Let's just talk about culture a little bit too. I had no white teammates at all. Never have.
Wow.
All the way up until I was 23 years old.
So you were just used to beating them up on the other side of the line.
Nah, we didn't even play against white schools.
Wow.
So yeah. Did we? No, we didn't. No, we didn't. All the schools that I played were black. Yeah, even in college too. In college too. So it wasn't a lot of diversity there.
Okay.
So yeah. So my first time even, you know, playing with somebody of another race or color was when I made it to the NFL.
Wow.
Yeah. So my first roommate was a white guy.
Okay. Big up to adversity.
Yeah.
I said that to Mafia. I see white people,
I see.
but we
I
have
see
no
white
audio.
people.
So.
Yeah, it's my first time, man. So, you know, I had no problem with it, man. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about, other cultures, man, throughout my time, and about people's different experiences. And so, like Mafia kind of touched on, I began to be interested in learning and trying to understand other people, and kind of trying to understand where I fit in at. And I think I'm still trying to figure that out.
I got you.
I think I'm still trying to.
So who was the first team you went to?
Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
It was the first team I went to, which I met a big friend that's on there.
Other big feller.
Other
Good
big
morning,
friend.
big
He
fellas.
was absolutely mean to me. He
Ah.
was mean. I was
We
like,
all saw the ESPN thing
yeah.
talking.
I was like, this
Always
is
starting
I was like, why are
fights.
you so damn mean? You just mean.
How long were you with the Cowboys?
I was there for that first preseason, and they was going to put me on a practice squad, or maybe I was going to make the roster. And I think Eric Williams came back.
Okay.
They cut me right when he came back. It was the very last cut, and I think they was hoping that I passed through waivers, and but that didn't happen. I got picked up by the Jets, and I stayed there for a year and a half. They changed coaching staffs. I got released again and got picked up by Dallas Cowboys again the second time.
Okay.
And so that second time, it was only doing training camp as well.
Mm.
They had a new staff, I believe, this time too. And I left there. I sat out a little bit, and then I became a Raider.
All right.
No, well, it was 2001. So I remember I was working out for Tampa Bay on September 11th. I remember the exact day, exactly where I was.
Okay.
And
I got to put it up. I'm sorry, man. I got to put it up there.
what happened?
He came in soft. Had to be toughened up. I knew he could make it. Something you don't normally see in an undrafted rookie. Sorry there, Mr. Vaughn. Had to throw that out there.
Hey, thanks, Dad.
No doubt.
Thanks, Dad. I appreciate it. It really means a lot.
So
There's tough
Cowboys,
love.
So Cowboys, and then
Raiders. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Cowboys, Jets, then Raiders.
Okay.
Cowboys, Jets, then Raiders. So, then I spent 6 years with the Raiders, and then one with Baltimore.
Okay.
Baltimore. And I had a little run with Jacksonville in between that.
Okay. So
that's where it kind of ended that for me. And so the new game now was, being with my kids.
All right. Speaking of kids.
And that's when I experienced a divorce, which gave the birth to not Mafia, the reminder, but
Vaughn.
Vaughn Solo.
I was in a whole new galaxy now.
Yeah.
I was in a whole new galaxy, man. And so, I think my life was just a series of transitions and just kind of feeling my way through it, man. I don't think there's a blueprint to it, man. But I'm okay with where my life going in the direction that it's going now. I am happy that I'm productive in society. I know how to operate in society, and I've been able to pass that on to my sons that I have, and they're some law-abiding citizens.
All right.
One going to your alma mater?
Yeah, one goes Alcorn State,
Okay.
HBCU Braves.
All right.
My homegirl there, Tiffany Bostic up there. Shout out to them Braves out there.
Yeah.
That's watching, and all my friends is out there watching.
Okay.
Yeah, I met a lot of great people there too, man. So it was good, that my son ended up going there, which because of that, I'm gonna touch on one thing. As a kid, I never thought my life was important to anybody, and my story was at all. At all. I never viewed myself that way,
And
you
don't take your fame well.
No. Well, I'm just saying I don't see it that way. You know what I mean? I'm just a person and a human being, just like everybody else. But the reason why I thought about that is because my son went to Alcorn, but not only him. Because of that, we have other friends and cousins that are applying to go there.
Okay, that's awesome.
They knew nothing about the school, and so I get calls and text messages like, my daughter, she's gonna try to go to Alcorn. And I was like, ain't that something?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I said, ain't that
That is
something?
beautiful.
And my son went there, and he's influenced other kids, to want to go there. So, it was great, man. It was great. I have no regrets of how I grew up. I grew up tough, suck it up, buttercup.
All right.
You know what I mean? It was a whole bunch of sucking up buttercup.
Yeah.
It wasn't no, it wasn't no
Yeah.
tears.
It's a listing of my entire childhood.
Yeah, so I think that's my exciting life in a nutshell. I guess I can give you that. I just want to skim across the top because I don't want to go all the
no
way
doubt,
up and
no
down.
doubt.
All right, man.
All right, so now we get the opportunity and the
Oh,
privilege to
shit.
get to know our man Zach. Zach,
Yes.
who are you, man?
I ain't shit. I was born in New Mexico.
Okay.
My
Really?
dad was in the military. Las Cruces, New Mexico. He was stationed at White Sands Missile Range. Everybody's always amazed that I actually remember White Sands Missile Range because we left when I was 3 or 4 years old. Moved to Arlington. Lived in a yellow house. Again, I remember tying my shoes in the second floor bedroom right at the top of the stairs. I have a memory that usually angers,
Of an
especially
elephant.
people. Yeah, especially, relationships, because I have a tendency to go, well, now hold on. Well, wait a minute. I remember this exact conversation. Lived in Lubbock for a little while. My dad moved to Chicago. They had bought a house in Lubbock, so we had to stay for like a year until the house sold. My mom, I don't remember a ton about her. I remember the last thing she bought me was a Hungry Hungry Hippo game.
Ooh.
The reason I remember that is because when we flew
Classic.
into Lubbock, I thought it was funny that because they had stored the Hungry Hungry Hippo in the front of the plane, that it got to Lubbock before me. I couldn't have been 6 years old. But I remember thinking, oh my God, a Hungry Hungry Hippo landed before I did.
Critical.
My man.
My dad was married, obviously, to my mom, Susan. When we were in Lubbock, it was Debbie number 1, which will explain why she has a 1 after her name in a second. When I was about, I guess it'd have been 7 years old, we moved up to Chicago. I tell people Chicago because I get utterly fed up with having to explain that the Highland Park here in DFW is not the only Highland Park in the world. There's a whole nother Highland Park up in Chicago.
You mean like Paris, Texas?
Yes. I mean, hey, I'm going to Paris. Oh, that's a long flight. No, the one that's right fucking
down
here.
the street.
One's right up here. Fort Sheridan, Illinois. My dad got divorced from Debbie number 1. My love of football came in 1985. I was in Chicago for the Chicago Bears.
Yes.
I remember the hype. I was Walter Payton in the school's rendition, or our classroom's rendition, of the Super Bowl Shuffle.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it was
That's the VHS
yeah.
tape on.
Ooh, Lord. Ooh.
So my Chicago Bears, and the reason for my Chicago Bears is because of that.
Okay.
That's even moving to Dallas, I've met a ton of these Dallas Cowboys. I know a few of them. Matter of fact, Flo knows one that gets pissed off that I'm not a Cowboys fan, but they weren't my introduction to football.
Pissing them off is
Yeah,
easy.
I don't give a
It's
shit.
easy to piss him off. That's
No,
light
not
work.
him. It's not him.
He said he pissed them off.
no.
Though. He said
people like me who live here, who aren't fans of the Cowboys, piss this guy off. I'll tell you the name afterwards.
yeah.
He's a little too big of a name to talk about.
No doubt.
But so we when the house sold in Lubbock, we moved to Chicago, Fort Sheridan, Illinois, and we were there for a few years. When Debbie 1 and my dad got divorced, you can't be in the military and have sole custody of a child.
Right.
So, right.
Okay.
Right. You can't, in case something happens to
You
you.
can't be in what?
You can't have sole custody of a child in the military if
Okay.
you're an individual person.
Oh, wow.
So my grandmother had to move up there. Obviously, it was 85, I remember, because of the whole Chicago Bears. She moved up there. That was really my first taste of that my dad was actually somebody, because my grandmother, we had taken the train to Tyler, Troop, really, right outside of Tyler. Had to pick up her car, and then we drove back to Chicago. And She came home one day, said I got pulled over, and they looked at her little tag and said, "Whoa, you're who are you to Whiteside?"
Yeah.
Well, that's my son. I don't know, man. You can go.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
You know, it's one of the first realities of realizing that, you know, my grandmother had always said if your dad hadn't joined the military, he would have been a factory worker. He would have been nothing, nobody.
Yeah.
So we left Fort Sheridan because my dad didn't want my grandmother to always have to be around. And we moved to Arlington,
Okay.
right there off of, I think it's Fielder and 30.
Yes.
There's a elementary school I went to.
Mhm.
Went to elementary school there. My dad met Debbie number 2, hence the reason there are 2 Debbies.
Debbie,
I
And both
numbered
of their
them.
names
Dallas
were
Debbie?
actually
One,
Debbie.
one right after the other. Debbie number 1, Debbie number 2.
Okay.
Dallas Debbie. Debbie
Yeah.
does Dallas.
Debbie does Dallas. She was a complete bitch.
Dirty Debbie.
But we left there and moved to Mesquite. I think it was my dad was working somewhere close to over there. They, of course, they ended up getting married. We moved over there. Stepbrother John, who is in the was in the military, I don't know if he still is. Went to Vanston Middle School. That was I think I told y'all that was kind of the weird thing because I was in 7th grade, yet I had been playing saxophone since 3rd grade, and everybody there was
Really?
just starting to play.
Okay.
So I was moved up to the 8th grade band.
So you was Kenny G.
Yeah, I was 10 times better than them.
Wow.
And even the teacher, you know, was like, "Hey, you know, how about I do some lessons outside of class to keep you on your path to being able to play saxophone?" He's like, "Because nothing we're doing." I'm like, "Yeah, we did that in
You
4th
way
grade.
past.
Yeah.
We did that, and what you're doing here, we did in like 4th grade."
You
He's
was a
like,
full Jedi.
so first chair, I mean, it was the easiest thing, just because it wasn't like I was that great. It's the point of I had, you know, 3 years on them.
Experience. Yes. I get it.
Towards the end of the year, we moved back to Fort Sheridan. You know, you want to talk about shock? You know, up north they're a year ahead, or at least where I was at.
Mhm.
So
You're
I was
ahead in education.
in everything, yeah.
Okay.
Everything.
And so I go back up there. I'm taking classes. You know, I'm taking algebra without pre-algebra. And you want to talk about suck it up, Buttercup? I came home. I told my dad. My dad says, "You'll figure it out."
Well,
Yeah. there it
I'm
is.
not doing. You'll figure it out. And
is
I
that
did.
when you learn how to cheat?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I made my way through it. I ended up passing. The math I was always good at.
Okay.
So I was, you know, but the English and everything else, it was a nightmare.
Okay.
We lived there, went through high school, all that. I moved to Troop with my grandmother. The foundation of, I would probably say 90% of my life comes from my grandmother from that time on. You know, and I said this the last show, the one thing I'll give my dad is, you know, racism was never accepted. I didn't even know what it was as a
Right.
child.
It's not a thing. Yeah.
And, you know, my dad had his whole explanation, which we don't need to go into. We did move to Midland, Odessa for a little while, but that was no time at all. Lived with my grandmother foundation. Wasn't a great 20-year-old.
Who was?
Yeah, well, you weren't that bad. I can promise you that.
And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we're gonna you know, in my I think I was 29 when I moved to Fort Worth.
Okay.
You know, a lot of the foundations of how I believe, you know, my grandfather told me, he said, you know, if you don't have a job, your full-time job is looking for a job. It's not looking for the job you want. It's finding a job to pay you money.
Mhm.
He's like, if you don't like the first job, you know, if you take the job, and if
Yeah.
you don't like it, you now have 2 jobs. You have your
Find out.
full-time job of making money, and you got a part-time job looking for the job you want.
Yes.
Hell, I worked for a Maytag store,
Okay.
you know, for 3 weeks in order to find another job, which I actually did that here. So when I moved to DFW, you know, I told my grandmother, I can't stay in East Texas.
Mhm.
There's nowhere for me to go. There's no way up for me.
Yeah.
And so she agreed. We moved to Fort Worth, and the first job I could find that was affordable because I had a job. So my part-time job was coming to DFW looking for a job, was digging ditches for the cable company.
Okay.
So the little dude runs the line and puts a paint stripe on it. I was the guy who came back and buried it. I did it for 2 weeks while looking for another job. I found a job doing satellites. I since I was 18 years old have been in the AV business. I started doing that in Houston when I lived in Houston for a little bit. And I love it. I still do it today. Automation, home theaters, installing TVs. I absolutely love it. But there are things that pay you money, and there are things that you do because you like. But now I've been able to turn one into the other.
Yeah.
Got kids. Some are good, some are no. I'm just kidding.
What about Dirty Debbie?
Yeah, fucking Debbie, man. Debbie number 2 was a freaking nightmare. So, like I said, most of my stuff comes from my grandmother. My grandmother telling me, "You can be better than that." Which I didn't pay attention to for many years, and then one day woke up and decided, we can do this. You can be a better person, and I've lived my life, trying to do that.
Good deal.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about me. I never really liked it. There you go. There's the skimming of it.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, so now people's rebuttal. You have your co-hosts and then who we are and where we come from and all this good stuff. And Zach, since you did have the mic, last, how about you just kick off what the people's rebuttal is all about?
So our goal here is not only to give you a little bit of news. A lot of people get their news from social media. I get phone calls, text messages. I had a friend, call me the other day and say, "Zach, are we at war? Some lady just told me we were at war." I'm like, wait a minute, rewind. She's like, "Well, a lady told me that we were at war." And I'm like, "We're not at war. We're Ukraine's at war and we're supporting Ukraine, but that's no different than what happened in, Korea, or is still happening, and it's been happening in South and North Korea forever and a day. We take a side and we try to support them. Obviously, same thing with North Korea. We put sanctions. Now the U.S. As a matter of fact, the sanctions just got huge today. But it's to give you that. It's to give you the opinion on, couple shows ago, which this is the episode 1, our true episode. Again, we're sorry about the audio, that we were trying to get the glitches. Obviously there's still glitches, but to give you the news sometimes, and to also give you a perspective on, we have somebody who played in the NFL. We have a guy who's commenting who's in the NFL. They have a lot of insight. We do have quite a few conversations that you and I have had that you're good having on the podcast of some things that have happened in the past. We look at things in the future during the season. I mean, obviously the draft's coming up, so we'll most likely do a show on that, see what everybody thinks, or really, I mean, we got to be honest. I mean, the major opinion, talk to Ed, see if he wants to participate, only because that dude is just a freaking genius.
There it is.
So a lot of sports for, people's rebuttal. What else does people rebuttal stand for?
Our opinions, working through our differences. We did a show on culture, how we got our culture and where we're at. Most likely we'll probably hit on that topic again. It's going to be, we do want to do some opinion stuff. We also want to make sure that we're doing a lot of factual stuff.
Absolutely.
And a lot of stuff that's going on. I mean, here's a great example, which I don't want to get into this. If we want to get into it a later time, but right now we're dealing with an issue that, we're still buying oil from Russia, so that our gas prices don't shoot to, $5 a gallon. Although in California it's $5 a gallon right now, but
so
I know.
Does that mean theirs going up too, though, right?
Oh, the whole
they're
country.
producing it.
No, I'm talking about California.
Oh yeah,
They was already at $6.
They were at $5 when I was there for the Super Bowl, and now they're probably hitting $6. I mean, they could probably get up to $8 a gallon.
Wow.
It's crazy. But hitting on the fact that prior to Joe Biden coming in the office, we were energy independent, which means they wouldn't have affected us.
Yeah.
Things like that, and understanding that nobody's saying Trump was a great president, or we want him back, which CPAC just voted yesterday. They said 60% chance that he's going to be one of the candidates. Well, whatever. That's ridiculous. But going through that stuff and providing, some decent facts along with some opinions, along with, maybe how we can deal with things rather than, driving a car through a frickin' deal in South Carolina, North Carolina, wherever, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Things that we can do better as people. A lot of y'all out there have the same opinions that we have. You just may not know how to present them. And because a lot of times you get somebody's opinion and it's just an angry version of what, and it's like, well, wait a minute, you have to at least, hear your talking points.
Absolutely.
When you're talking to somebody who acts like this, why don't you try the Mafia Reminder way, or the Vaughn way, or the Zach, whichever way fits your personality. And I think that's one of the great things about this is there are 3 completely different personalities.
No doubt.
These 2 dudes are open to anybody having a conversation and befriending. I'm not.
I'm not either. Mafio is.
Okay, let's rewind.
I really am.
That is the everybody who
Yes.
I am the complete opposite.
Absolutely.
20 Facebook friends. I'm happy with the amount of Facebook friends. If we're Facebook friends and I don't talk to you, I will be deleting you because you serve no purpose in my life. Yeah, go ahead.
And so I just wanted to, touch like people's rebuttal. In my opinion, we'll talk on so many different areas in life, and sports, current affairs, social things, and just to culminate it or put it in a nutshell, we're just sharing information through conversation. That's the essence of,
period,
in my opinion, what the People's Rebuttal podcast is all about, bro. And with the intent to hopefully, just inspire thought in people. We're not trying to tell anyone anything. We're not trying to say, hey, this is my belief, you need to do this. None of that. Just inspire, open-mindedness, and man, with the intention to just,
sparking
contribute to humanity in a very humane way.
And to spark your I mean, we want your comments.
Yeah,
I
please comment.
To everybody who's in there, I will tell you that we don't see the Twitter comments, the platform we use. But if you're on YouTube or on Facebook, we'll see your comments. If it applies, we'll throw it up there. Just know if you comment, we may throw it up there. I actually asked Flo if it was fine if we put his comments up there. For the most part, I'm not going to ask you.
You put that one at 10:01 up there.
Oh, yeah.
That is hilarious. That one.
And I also
this one?
No, the one below it. Well,
that I had to throw it up there.
No doubt.
That was hilarious.
And I also want to throw this point out about the People's Rebuttal too, because again, we are the voice of the people of the world. So you guys have a topic or situation or whatever, man, put it out there in the comments, or email us or send us a message on one of the platforms, Facebook, Twitter, what have you, and we'll definitely address it. That's kind of what we stand for at the People's Rebuttal, because again, it's not just us 3 people, it's the whole world as people. So that is comments, topics are always welcome here on the People's Rebuttal.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, we ready to close this out?
Man, I'm good. I kind of felt some kind of way about the technical difficulty, but I have this skill of readjusting and not taking things personal.
That's what it is.
Hey man, things happen, man. It's all about
it is
repositioning and keeping it moving, man.
You just had a preseason, man. That's preseason. That's all that was.
That's all.
Practice.
And I take that. I take all experience as a good experience.
Yeah.
Remember, my cup is always
that's
half full.
And you know that's how it was true because you said the exact same thing the second time around.
No
I said, well, I
question.
guess it must have been true.
No
That
question.
is true.
All right. So with that being said, I thank you all for joining us today. Please look forward to joining us every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. And with that being said, peace out from the
Peace.
People's Rebuttal.